Hello and welcome to Lesson 2 of the Unofficial Guide to Pressbooks.com. Um, and now I guess we're kind of officially unofficial, or officially official. At any rate, in this lesson we're going to go over the dashboard and kind of all the functionality that's available within the Pressbooks.com to help build your book. And just kind of at a high level, we're going to touch each of the things. First thing you should know is this is your base dashboard. You have these four windows, which is basically your book content, any media that you've uploaded, information about the book that you've created, and authors. And I'll show you how each of these gets populated based off of the sections over here that you might fill out. But the first thing I wanted to show you is you can kind of hide this content if you want to by clicking on it. And then you can expand it again just by clicking back again. You can also reorganize these windows simply by dragging them around the screen. And all this is basic WordPress functionality, but if you are unfamiliar with WordPress, it's helpful to know. This help button, I'm going to tell you to basically ignore. It's for WordPress help, but it's not necessarily relevant to Pressbooks.com. The screen options, I'll show you quickly. You can actually decide not to show sections on your site at all. In other words, it's not just compressed down, but it's not there at all. Or you can change the formats to add 3, and if I have 3 columns, then I can move authors over there. If I go back to 2, it'll automatically put it back where it was. I like the 2-column format, and so I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, so that covers the basics of the dashboard and screen options. Then we go to My Sites quickly. My Sites, basically, you're only going to have one URL in here. If you just start it, that's your unofficial. In this case, it's the unofficial guide to Pressbooks.com. If you happen to have multiple books, you can create new books in this site by creating a new site here. The statistics are going to give you statistics about access to your site and projects and such like that. Text. The text section, this is where you're writing your book, and you've got your front matter, your main body, and you can add new front matter, you can add new chapters. This add part actually allows you to for instance, create a bonus section, or if you're writing a novel that has 3 components, you can write each of the 3 components and add new parts that way. And organize is kind of a neat function. You're able to actually change the order in which you have information in your sections. So once you write your chapters, if you want to change the order of them, it allows for really easy use of changing. Going into the media, you've got your library and your add new. An important point about media, and I'll probably cover it again in the future, but you should upload all your media for any chapters that you're going to write. So any pictures or anything that you're going to want to embed in your chapter, upload it before you write your content, and then while you're writing your content, I'll show you how to actually add the pictures from there once they're uploaded to your library. Book information is going to give you the opportunity to, and I have actually changed this from the original layout. The original layout had that first. Okay, so you've got your information about your book, title, author, publisher, publication date, etc. You can actually add a cover file there, add any of the other information about your book, and then add descriptions down here. And we'll talk about where that's used in a future lesson. Authors, quickly, you can add new authors. These are also users of your site, and I will actually cover something quickly here. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That's users that I was talking about. Authors are actually authors, and author is a type of user. If you've added an author, then you can basically give information about the author so that when somebody goes and looks at the author, they can find this information and visit their sites, find out more information about the writer, etc., etc. This is a new format, doing HTML books effectively, right? So one of the benefits of that is that you can actually interact with your users, and the comments section, now this is great for two things. It's one, for interacting with your users, and two, it's great for the collaboration component that Pressbooks offers you. So depending on how you're using the site, if you're still in collaboration mode and you haven't completed the book, you can use comments to talk to each other about changes that are being made to the book, during the editorial process. You can also use comments to interact with your readership. So when you do that, you're going to want to manage the comments occasionally. Once your book's published, if you're publishing it for free and it's completely open, you will end up getting spam comments, and this is part of how you will manage those comments. The export section, if you click on that, that's your options for downloading. Once you've written your book and you've got everything in place, then you can actually export it into your PDF, into your EPUB, using the various types of styling. In a future lesson, we'll talk about the types of styling available. And finally, the last two sections are the users. In users, you can create different types of users, including subscribers, which are basically just people who can read it. If your site's protected, they have to be a subscriber. If your site's public, they don't have to be. You don't have to have a subscriber for people to read it. Then there's administrators, which allows you into all the back-end functionality. Editors, who actually can come in and edit the text, and we're going to go into all of the details of the different roles in a future lesson here. Finally, you've got your profile. You're going to want to fill out your profile information. And you can do things like disable your visual editor when writing text. We can talk about what that is. Basically, if you disable it, I wouldn't recommend that. Most people don't want to write in HTML. If you disable your visual editor, you're going to have to write in HTML. Keyboard shortcuts, and you can find out more about that. You can kind of come in and play with the stuff, and it's pretty straightforward. But if you wanted to look at what the keyboard shortcuts are, you could click on that, and you go to the WordPress site, and they'll tell you all the different things you can do to kind of move around within WordPress, or make changes, or do things to make it easier without having to use your mouse and clicking on the buttons. So it makes, I shouldn't say easier, makes it more efficient, not necessarily easier. If you're new to WordPress, you're going to want to probably use your mouse and use the information that is available on the site to do things like mark things as spam. But there's a couple probably important things in here. You'll want to put your biographical info in here. If you need to reset your password, this is where you're going to do it. And then always you want to have your contact information in here as well. And I'm not positive, but I believe some of this information may actually feed over into the author section when it's completed. We'll take a look at that in the future as well. And finally, the settings. Privacy setting, this is whether your book is public or private. And if it's you're going to want it in private while you're editing it. You may make it public once you're done editing it, or you may decide to keep it private. If you do, then you can have people pay and then give them a user ID and password, or a user ID that they'll use to access the book as a subscriber, or you have another option where you can actually make it public but just protect the individual page. And actually, I'll just quickly show you how that works. In the book I wrote, 10 Secrets to Being an Involved Father, all of these chapters are published and they're public. My settings for this site are public. I'll just show you that quickly. But going back to the chapters, you'll see each chapter is individually password protected, and you can see that here under publish I have password protected, and I'm not going to click edit because you'll see what the password is, and I don't want to do that right now. So coming back, so that's password protected. If you do have a website and you know what Google Analytics are, go to analytics.google.com, and you can actually enter in your Google Analytics ID, and they actually will insert that ID on each of the pages so that you can track who's reading your book, how far they're going, what they're doing, and whatnot. And finally, there's this e-commerce section, and I'm not exactly sure how this is going to be used yet, so we'll find out and get that information to you in a future lesson. But I think this is probably going to end up being expanded. I'm not, like I said, I'm not exactly sure how it's being used right now. And finally, just if you aren't or if you see this collapsed menu, basically what that does is that takes this whole section right here and makes it smaller. And so you still have access to everything, but it's just over on the side. It gives you more room on your screen to work. If you like that, I kind of like mine open because I want to go find exactly what I'm looking for when I'm ready to find it. And that really concludes this lesson. And in our next lesson, we're going to go into the actual building of the book and the text. So we'll start talking about front matter in the next lesson, and then in the lesson after that, we'll get into adding chapters and just kind of get into the meat. But Pressbooks is, again, I just want to say it's an exciting tool, and I hope you get into using it. I hope you find these videos useful. If there's information you want to know, leave a comment on the videos and let me know what that is, and I'll try and make sure that we cover it in one of the future videos. Thanks again, and you can always check me out at metzgerbusiness.com or thedadvocatproject.com, and I'm always interested in finding interesting projects to work on, things where we can do videos like this, or things like the Dadvocate project, which was basically a 1.5 year long project where we did a survey of dads and compiled all the results and used social media to administer the survey, and then built a book from it, and a nice series of emails autoresponders that actually gives all of the results from the surveys that we did. So just like doing interesting projects, and if you're interested in doing an interesting project, feel free to reach out to me. Thanks, have a great day, and we'll get back to you next time on the unofficial guide to Pressbooks.com.